All right. So I'm sharing the notes which I'll be using here throughout the semester. I will give you the entire notes, which I'll be using throughout the semester. So throughout the semester, this will be your notes here. Throughout the semester, this will be your notes, which I'll be able to share with you right away. Here. Will I be able to share them here? But I can share them later, right? Yes. So welcome to RCM College. My name is Dr. Joshua Aura. I'm the one who will be taking you through advanced management accounting this semester, or rather I've taken this same subject for the last 24 years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, when you hear about management accounting, you need to understand what MA is before we talk of advanced MA. When we talk about management accounting, we know that this is that subject which is normally used to advise advise managers. It's normally used to advise managers. Advise managers in terms of what here? Advise managers, yes, in terms of decision making. Yeah, you see, as managers, ladies and gentlemen, what will be happening here is that you'll always be faced with so many alternatives of solving one problem. So you want, for example, to come up with packaging materials. Maybe you're packaging some sodas, some Coke, all right? So you are wondering, should we package this Coke using glass bottles or plastic bottles? Yeah, so you have alternatives there. Then as a management accountant, you must get out of your way to try as much as possible to ensure that you are able to come up with what we call cost estimations. If you produce glass bottles, you need these raw materials, you need this labor, you need this overhead. This is the total cost of making glass bottles. If in this case here we produce plastic bottles, if we produce plastic bottles, we're going to do this and this and this and this. Yeah, and then you will be able to give those cost estimations to the management, and then the management will be able to do what here, to use that to make decisions. Now, I don't know if you are able to remember that management accounting, basically we are using cost, financial, and non-financial information to help managers plan, control, and make decisions of the firm. I repeat, management accounting is all about making use of cost, financial, and non-financial information. So you're using cost, financial, and non-financial information, which you shall be able to give to the management for purposes of them planning, to plan, to control operations of the company, and to enable them make decisions. So anytime we talk about management accounting, my very good students here would want you to understand here, I'm reading here, it is the process of preparing and providing financial and non-financial information to managers to help in planning, decision making, and the control of business activities. Before I continue, I would want to know whether my online students are able to hear Mwalimu. Please mention Y for yes. Mention Y for yes. Thank you so much. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, why are we talking about here? I would want you to understand here very well. I would want you to understand here very well. Why are we talking about financial and non-financial data? Please understand this, because at the end of the day, we shall be answering so many past paper questions. We'll be answering so many past paper questions. Now, my good students, please listen. When it comes to management accounting, we have what we call differences between financial accounting and the management accounting. Is there anybody who is able to remember these differences? And remember, in my class, I normally give a lot of money. In my class, I normally give students presents. So is there anybody who is able to give me 3 differences between financial accounting and management accounting? If you're online, you can type. And you'll be so lucky if you did your MA last semester, because then you'll be able to remember everything. You'll be able to get my present, like you did your MA long time ago. All right. Like how many years ago? Oh, almost 7, but we shall overcome. Thank you for coming back. So I'm waiting in this case here to hear from my online students what they are saying regarding these great subjects known as the FA and the MA before I bring in something very, very important. So in this case here for Kenya shillings 500, I'm being told here, FA relies on historical data. Thank you so much, Kenneth, that in this case here, FA is historical. FA is historical. FA is, that is why we normally say profit and loss statement for the year ending, past year. And then, of course, management accounting, in most cases, it is what here futuristic. That is why we are talking about budgets, forecasting, etc. That's why we are talking about planning. So this gentleman should be able to get my present, but I should be able to get so many of you getting presents. So we have in this case here that FA reports are prepared periodically, MA reports annually. Are you sure of that? You have an idea, but you're not sure of that. So we have in this case here, Sharon, who should be able to get my present today that MA provides internal information for decision making. Very important, Sharon, you are a good student. That management accounting in this case here is a discipline, is a subject which is used to develop information that will be used by managers internally here to make decisions. So in this case here, they are telling me that MA is internal. MA is internal, and the FA is what here mostly. Of course, we talk of internal and external, but FA is a statutory subject. FA is normally required by KRA, by government. All right. So mostly it will be used by creditors, it will be used by other stakeholders. Yeah, but for management, whenever they want, in this case here, their accounting data, accounting information, they would always prefer, in this case here, management accounting. Any other difference? This ninja should be able to get my money. Let's see there. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you, Mercy. That MA is generally governed by GAAP. GAAP, you know, GAAP is the USA. Yeah, GAAP is US. Now, Mercy, there you're a little bit wrong. You're a little bit wrong. Because GAAP still is the US financial reporting standards. They don't govern management accounting. They don't govern management accounting. What I expected you guys to tell me in this case here is that FA makes use of only financial information. It only believes in what we call quantitative data. Quantitative data. It only believes in what we call quantitative data. That is why you will see, like, if it's a balance sheet, I mean, Kenya shillings millions. Everything is about money. That is financial accounting. Whereas management accounting, you have seen, they're talking about financial and non-financial. So this one here is both quantitative. This is both quantitative and what here? Qualitative. This is both quantitative and what here? Qualitative. Both financial and what here? Non-financial. You see, like now, let me give you something here. You will come here and tell us that plastic bottles, glass bottles. Of course, glass bottles are expensive. Plastic bottles will be cheap, of course, isn't it? But you see, now we have other factors which are non-monetary, which you have to look at to make that kind of a decision. Not many people would want these plastics. We know that plastics are really damaging the environment. You see, now environmental damage is non-monetary, but very important for purpose of making water decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, money has never been everything. Money has never been everything. I know there are those young girls I normally see, even on TikTok. I know they make jokes. They are never very serious on that. They normally make jokes. They will say, in this case here, that they would rather be crying inside the Mercedes-Benz every day. They would rather be crying inside a Mercedes-Benz every day because to them, money is everything. How about my girls who are in this, here in physical class? I don't have any girl. My girls who are in the online session. Do you believe that money is everything in life? Please be honest with me. Do you believe that money is everything in life? I'm introducing this great subject of ours, and I'll be able to do past paper questions in a few minutes. But again, we have always to look at this banter a little bit here and there. We don't have to be very serious. This life doesn't need somebody who's very, very serious. No. So if you're telling me that money is everything, that would mean that if you're married, in this case, to a very rich man who at times comes in at home at 2 a.m., and this great rich gentleman in the sense that he has to eat everything cooked from scratch. He doesn't eat cold food. So then as a lady, you wake up at 2 a.m., right? You start making great food for this rich man. You take like an whole hour. And then of course, now you are also supposed to be going to work the following day. This person will mess in this case here with the quality of your life. And that is why life, of course, I'm not saying that money is bad. I will always chase the two of them. I will chase monetary and non-monetary. Respect is important. Respect is important. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, in our definition here, we have just said something that is very important, which everybody shall always be required here to remember in our very definitions. We have said that management accounting is broader. It looks at both monetary and non-monetary. Ladies and gentlemen, there are companies that make millions. Look at Safaricom. It is now making billions in terms of what your profits. But trust you me, if today they decide to just chase after profits, money, they will forget the most important aspects, which are non-monetary, which will make this company, in this case here, die in the near future. Things like customer satisfaction, non-monetary, but very, very important. So if you're hired as a management accountant at Safaricom, you will not only be looking at the money aspects of the business, you'll also be looking at non-monetary aspects, things like customer satisfaction, those ones that you cannot quantify in terms of money, but yet they are very important. You'll be looking at things like employee morale, because you see performance evaluation of these employees rests on your table. So if employees are not motivated a lot, trust you me, these guys will not be able to produce optimally. So for management accounting, and you'll be able to see a whole question from your past papers, ladies and gentlemen, for management accounting, we are supposed to know that it is the process of preparing and providing financial and non-financial information managers to help in planning, decision-making, and the control of business OTR activities. Then if you look at your course outline, we are required here to teach you what we call strategic management accounting, SMA. So whenever we talk about strategic, what do we mean? Long term. We don't want to create RCM and then it dies with the owners. We want, in this case here, RCM to be listed at the stock exchange. And in this case here, be able to outlive the owners, the current owners. All right. For us to be able to do that, ladies and gentlemen, we must consider what we call longevity. And you only consider longevity if you are not thinking inside the box. People think about money being everything. They always think within the box. Thinking outside the box, you are thinking about non-monetary. You are doing competitor analysis. You are looking at how these macroeconomic factors will be able to affect your business. Yeah, that's why you'll get, for example, like my audit firm. Currently, we are doing something on what year? The current finance bill, to show the companies how these macroeconomic metrics will be able to affect the companies. When you do that, when you're doing these kind of plans, then you are thinking strategically. Please listen and listen to me very, very well. Listen and listen to me very, very well. I would want you to listen and listen to me very, very well. When you talk of strategic management accounting, ladies and gentlemen, this strategic management accounting, it is the use of now management accounting information with a long-term and outward-looking focus, especially by considering what here competitors, markets, and a strategy to support sustainable competitive what here advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, in this case here that are thinking about strategic management accounting are those companies that cannot be affected easily with external shocks. If you look at our current economic dispensation, right now we have fuel, increasing a lot in terms of price. Price increases. And even now with price increases, like now today, there is a lot of scarcity of fuel. So meaning what here that again, we expect this fuel price to go up. As we speak today, because of that increase in fuel price, There are businesses that will make huge losses. Those are businesses that are not thinking strategically, that are not thinking long term. Any business that is thinking strategically will be in a location that we call blue ocean area. We have two areas here. We have the blue ocean, and then number two, we have in this case here, the red ocean area. For those of you who normally swim, yeah, we know that you normally swim quite near the shore. You can't get inside there. So in this nearer the shore, water happens in the nearer the shore. Water happens here in the nearer the shore. The water over there is very dirty. Everybody, young children, everybody is swimming there. Even these small boats are here. So the water is dirty, the water is red. Akin to the business world, along near the shore here, where we are saying the ocean is red, this is where competitors are swimming and they get to kill each other. Yeah. But how about when you go inside deep there yonder, where now the skies are blue? Inside there, there is no competition. Companies which have been able to go right far away from the shore, inside the blue ocean section, then they are the companies which are thinking strategy, they are thinking long term, they are thinking in this case here, outside the box, outward looking, they are considering competitors. Yeah, they are looking at what we call sustainable competitive advantage. Remember, sometimes back here, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, may his soul rest in peace, he came and told us to resist some companies. I don't know whether you were old enough that time. He told us to resist, for example, Safaricom. He told us in this case to resist some milk company. All the companies that Raila Amolo Odinga told us to resist were really affected. Really affected. Their revenues went down by over 50%. But one of those companies, which is thinking strategically long term, Safaricom, their revenue grew in that very, very same year by over 10%. Why? It's because Safaricom, it must be having management accountants there. Most of your companies, I believe, and if you guys were to be very honest to me, give me fair, truthful information. Do you have management accounting departments in your companies? I would want to get that feedback from you. Is there anybody who works for a company that has a management accounting department? No. Most of us here, 51 students, will be surprised. Most of us here, we don't have management accounting. Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you very much, Gadoni. No. I would want to see if we have even one student who is working for a company that has got management accounting department. They have a management accountant. No, you'll see. Yeah. So it means automatically that all these companies are not thinking strategically. Because any company that is thinking strategically, thinking long term, then you must always be thinking about financial and non-financial. And you can only think about financial and non-financial if you have a management accountant, because really financial and non-financial, all of them put together is all about what here? Management accounting. So please listen. When it comes to strategic management accounting, it is the use of management accounting information with a long-term and outward-looking focus, especially by considering competitors, markets, and strategy to support sustainable competitive advantage. We look at 1.1. I'm really following your syllabus. 1.1, we are looking at what we call sources of strategic management accounting information. So internally here, we shall be able to fetch our information from budgets, cost records, performance reports, financial statements. Outside there, externally, we'll be able to look at market trends. How is the market behaving? Yeah, competitor analysis, industry benchmarks, economic data. And because we are so much based over non-financial data, we shall be looking at so many other things, including the customer feedback that we get, government policies, technology, trends. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at 1.2 from your syllabus, they want us 1.2 from your syllabus, they want us to teach you The role in strategic planning and what here? Control. The role of this subject in strategic planning and control. Let me ask you, my good students, you guys are great students of mine. Great students of mine. Now, when we talk of management in general, are you able to give me the key functions of management, general management? The key functions of general management, if you are to be employed today to become a manager of East African breweries, you'd always be thinking about pork. Pork like this. You'll be thinking about planning. We have organizing, like organizing of teams. Yeah, you organize, you plan. As RCM, for example, would want in this case here to become a university in the next 3 years. Amen. So then we need to start in this case here putting up a project management team. You start organizing teams there. Then we have in this case here controlling. Because when you plan, chances are you've planned you want to go this way, but you know how the human being mind operates. You've planned in this case here you want to go this way, but there will be always that inner voice, which in this case here speaks to you, and that inner voice normally tells you negative things. The inner voice. Just like, for example, how you put in an alarm and they say I want to wake up from tomorrow at 4 a.m. When that alarm in this case here rings like this, there must be that inner voice, Satan himself, who will tell you do something for the next 30 minutes. True? Yeah. So the same case with the plan. We want to become a university in this case here in the next 3 years. And then when we put this kind of a plan, ladies and gentlemen, down like that, there will always be that thing that comes and tells us, in this case here, hey, no, you can't even afford, you don't even know how to run a university. All right. So there are chances that we can easily walk out of the road towards our plan, away from our plan. And that is why at the end of the day, you need what we call the guardrails. So the guardrails here, you need these guardrails that you put around here, the guardrails to guard you, guard like this, to guard you, to ensure that anytime you want to get outside the planned section, you knock on it, you go back, and then you continue with the journey like that. It is this guarding of things that we call water control. As a manager, you must be a good controller. Especially for those of you who will become financial managers, you must be good controllers. Otherwise, you will bankrupt your organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one key other factor here, what we call communications. As a good manager, you shall always think about communication. You must be a good communicator within the company. That reminds me of this story, which is given. I'm not sure whether it is truthful, that there used to be a couple. This couple was not talking to each other for so many years. For some reason, I don't know why at times in this case here married people just choose not talk to each other for some good amount of time. So I don't know in this case here, the people who are following us online, in this marriage setup, who is that partner who refuses to talk to the other easily? Is it the wife or the husband? Use W for wife, use H for husband. Who is that partner who normally refuses to talk to the other partner? Easily? These guys are not talking to me. These guys are not my friends here. They are saying in this case, it's wife. So then, ladies and gentlemen, we had this couple that could not talk for so long. So one day the husband wanted to fly, reach the airport very early in the morning at about 2 a.m. Now, because this husband would not talk to the wife, he went and picked a paper, wrote there, "My dear wife, I'm required to be at the airport at exactly 2 a.m. Please wake me at around 1 a.m. so that I can go and catch up my flight." So the gentleman dropped that paper in a place where the lady would see. For sure, the lady saw it. The lady saw the letter, but they could not talk. So when it hit 1 a.m., when this lady was supposed to wake up this gentleman, of course, we know that ladies are very good. They always have an inbuilt. Yeah, in this case, the alarm system. So it was 1 a.m. The lady was able to wake up very early. But remember, this lady has stayed more than 1 year without talking to this man. So she did the most honorable thing. She went at the back of that paper, wrote there, "My dear husband, it is exactly 1 a.m. Please wake up." Your guess is as good as mine. This mzee never caught up with his flight. Yeah. We don't want these kind of things to happen at the workplaces. When you are a manager, you must be a good communicator. And then remember, communication is all about doing memos, writing good emails, preparing people for any changes you are envisioning. You must prepare all the members. You must be a good communicator. And remember, as a manager, ladies and gentlemen, you must have what we call a thick skin. A thick skin, which most ladies, most girls don't have. So if, for example, for some reason, we are able, at the workplace, you always have issues with one another. You can never have a smooth flow 100%. There are times in this case you will disagree with somebody. When you disagree with somebody at the workplace, as a management accountant, you shall be very quick to forgive, so that we'll be able to pass information to everybody without any encumbrances. Yeah, without hiding anything, right? You issue good information, so shall be a good communicator. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. Whenever you're asked about duties of a management accountant, it doesn't matter whether you're supporting longevity or not. You shall always remember functions of just the general management. Always say that the management accountant will be involved in doing what here, somebody? Planning. The management accountant will be involved in planning. The management accountant will be involved in controlling. The management accountant will be involved in decision making, because he's officially the chief advisor of managers, decision making. And then you can come and add these other small things, like, for example, resource allocate. You see, like now, resource allocation comes under planning. When you're preparing a budget, resource allocation. Now you can add up communication, etc. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what am I driving at? What I'm driving at, which I would want you to understand very well, is this. The role of management accounting in strategic management. You can see it helps in setting long-term goals. Yeah. The plans, profitability, growth, etc. It guides resource allocation to profitable areas, provides performance measures, because we'll be able to do performance evaluation, the KPIs, balance scorecard, etc. It supports risk management and cost control. So basically, roles of management accounting, it doesn't matter in which capacity. We shall always remember what Mwalimu has taught you. A management accountant will be planning. A management accountant will be controlling. A management accountant will be making decisions or helping managers make decisions. A management accountant will be doing risk measurement. A management accountant will be doing performance measurement or evaluation. He will be doing communications, coordinations, all that. That is applicable, as you will be able to see when they ask you benefits of the subject. Benefits of management accountant, you duplicate what we have just mentioned there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow Mwalimu go to 1.3. Please feel free to ask questions. Yeah, governance and the control of what here information. As managers, you'll be able to come across very sensitive data, very sensitive information of the company. And now remember, we are being guided by what we call the Data Privacy Act. You must protect whatever confidential data that you have. All that is enshrined in this subject called what here? Management accounting. So management accounting, in terms of control of information, will ensure accuracy, reliability, and timeliness of data where it is needed. We have a system. We have a software shall be able to give. Against misuse of sensitive information. It promotes accountability through proper reporting what here? Systems. We shall be accountable. People will be able to know that, hey, this is the person that leaked information. So in terms of governance and the control of information, when you have a management accounting system, you shall be able to get accurate, reliable information on a timely basis. This information will be safeguarded, protected against misuse. Yeah. And then, of course, it shall be able to promote what we call accountability. Yeah. And then, of course, it shall be able to support proper reporting systems. Remember, management accounting information will also be used for financial reporting. These subjects are quite intertwined. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, I will be aligns with corporate governance. What here? Rules here. Yeah, because of governance, corporate governance rules. Now, of course, this is beyond your scope. But have you ever heard of corporate governance? Have you guys ever heard of corporate governance? Is there anybody who can define for me what corporate governance is? Remember, I'm going to actually, I would want even to take some feedback here, and I want to give in this case here. I would want in this case here to give. I would want in this case here to give my first present to those students who are really active. So without voting for yourself, are you able to tell me that student who has been very actively giving us answers here in the chats? Who has been the most active today? We give them money. Who has been the most active student today? We give them cash. I always like, in this case here, rewarding my students. So please vote for the very best contributor. Vote for the very best contributor. If you vote for yourself, you lose. You miss out. Vote for the very best contributor. Before I continue, I would want to reward you, great students. Nobody is voting for each other. Means it, let me see. Nobody is voting for the other. The guy whose wife hasn't been talking to since yesterday. I know that's a joke, Hamisi. Thank you. So Orwa is voting for CM. I wish somebody can vote. Kennedy Odaya. No, Kennedy Odaya, you are voting for yourself. MM. So CM, you voted for MM, and somebody was voting for you. I don't know. These guys are not fast in voting. Mercy, you're getting a vote there. CM, you have gotten a second vote. So CM, please give me your number. Give me your number, CM, to cut this. You haven't voted for anybody. Now you are late with Gathoni. Charlton, somebody is voting for Charlton. I don't know. Or CM, you're voting for another person. Now you're making this. CM, two people are voting for you and you're still mentioning other people. I thought you would give me your number, CM. I thought you'd Now I'll continue with this exercise later. OCM is Charlton, Gathoni has gotten a second person too. Wow, CM. Let's give this thing to CM. CM has won. But fortunately, in my class, there shall be many presents to be given. There shall be many presents to be given. So everybody will be a winner. So long as in this case here, you are really working hard to give me answers. Like right now, I've asked in this case here about corporate governance, and I can see there is a ninja who is already giving me an answer regarding corporate governance. Automatically, you will be getting my presents here. You will be getting my presents here. Hey, there's one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 48, 70, 02. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Charlton, my friend, was able to pass management accounting. He was in my class last semester. He was able to pass this management accounting one term, and all the other papers. And our students are really good. They've done well. All right. So governance. How are we governing these institutions? So corporate governance gives us the methodology of directing and controlling organizations to prosperity. Yeah. Systems of how to direct and control operations of an entity. Operations of an entity. Thank you. Great. So I've seen a bad signal here about my internet not being very, very strong. But are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear Mwalimu? Are you able to hear? Thank you so much. So then you have been able to give me good definitions there, but I would want you to give me 3 pillars of corporate governance. That's beyond this subject, but I want you to understand 3 pillars of corporate governance. 3 pillars of corporate governance. Number 1, every entity shall have a board of directors. Board of directors. Yeah, very important. Every entity shall have accounting function. If you don't have accounting function in the company, your company's management, your company's operations will not be under control. And the accounting we are talking about, of course, this is the other management, but management accounting is the biggest. So when, ladies and gentlemen, we bring up this concept of management accounting, we are aligning ourselves with corporate governance rules, scope, and limitations of this subject 1.4. So the scope, you will see us talking about a lot of costing. We shall be seeing material costing, labor costing, overhead cost. You shall see ourselves talking about budgeting all the time, variance analysis, strategic decision support, performance measurement, and control. That is the scope of our subject. Does it have any limitation? There is nothing on earth which doesn't have disadvantages. So yes, we have some disadvantages, limitations, based on estimates and assumptions, can be time consuming and costly, relies heavily on quality of input data, 𝗙𝗎𝗚, garbage in, garbage out, may not capture qualitative factors effectively. Yeah, we are saying that this subject is both quantitative and what you're qualitative. But you see, qualitative factors like employee morale are what you're very subject. They are very, very subjective. You may not be able to capture this, but most importantly, which I would want you to always quote, limitations of management accounting. Number one, the discipline is very, very costly. Never forget that. Very, very costly. Because you need systems, heavy systems. When you go the management accounting way, you'll be required to reconcile management accounting, financial accounting. So there will be a lot of time needed, time consumption, time consuming. If I were you, I would take costly and time consuming as separate points. Yeah, there will be a lot of what here estimates and assumptions that I will remember. And then the factor that because we are bringing in qualitative factors, we may not be able to analyze these very effectively. And then, of course, lack of qualified what here? Personnel. Lack of qualified personnel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you are accountants just like myself. Fortunately, all of us here are working as accountants. And even an accountant, would you kindly tell me the ethical framework that you normally use? Tell me the ethical standards that you normally use at your workplace. There are normally 5 ethical standards. I know you know all of them. Ethical standards. I know you know all of them. The first one is what? Integrity, where you are required here to be very honest in your operations. Be straightforward. An accountant shall not be having under the table dealings. No. We shall be men and women with integrity. Yeah. Then number 2, confidentiality, because of the kind of data that we shall be placing our fingers on. Yeah. So confidentiality, this has been tested there before, and many people were not. So confidentiality protects sensitive information. Objectivity, we shall avoid conflict of what your interest. Professional competence and due care, you shall maintain knowledge and what your skills. Professional behavior, you shall follow laws and avoid discrediting the profession. Yeah, let me see whether they were able to remember those ethical standards themselves. Yeah, Marcy, I'll be able to give you all the notes yet. I'll be able to give you all the notes, yes. I'll give you all the notes, only that I've not been able to know how to share the notes using this machine of mine, but I will be able to this. I'll be able to share the notes in the group. So now we are through with chapter number 1. Chapter number 1, we are through with chapter number 1, but what have we learned in chapter number 1? What have we learned in chapter number 1 if you are to be asked? Functions of the management accountant, I love that. Online guys, they're not talking to me. Thank you, Zeddy. Yeah, differences between FA and MA. Thank you very much. Scope of management accounting. Importance and significance of strategic management accounting. Ethical standards. Limitations of management accounting. Tina, ethics, I love that. Role of strategic planning and control. Ethical standards. So as I go to my past paper questions, my good students, could you kindly tell me what is strategic management accounting? In your own language. In your own language, what is strategic management accounting? In your own language. You don't have to get it right, so long as you try. You get my 500. You're not going home. The moment you mentioned long-term decisions, who else gets this money? Planning for the future, I love that. Long-term strategic decisions, compete better, I love Gadoni. And somebody voted for this lady. Somebody voted for this lady. The only thing you haven't mentioned, yes. Thank you so much, Joseph. Yes. Outward looking. We must look beyond our college. We must look at what the competitors are doing. We must look at what is happening in the economy, macroeconomic factors. Use 𝗪𝗹𝗡 for long-term OTR decisions. Thank you so much, 𝗥𝗘𝗚𝗓𝗧. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look at these past paper practice questions. This is interesting. At times we teach, and then we get the examiner bringing in things which are, general knowledge, and they're able to catch my students very well. All right. So describe the following types of business data analytics as used in strategic management. What? You see now, data analytics really is not in your course outline, but you see the examiner wants to bring it. So describe the following types of business data analytics as used in strategic management accounting. Number one, pricing analytics. Number two, forecasting analytics. So if you got this kind of a question and exam, what will you tell us? So, yes. Yeah, there will be a lot of cost estimations. But now remember here, you're using what here? Lots of data, right? Lots of data, because remember, data analytics, you have what we call voluminous data, big data, big data. So use this big data, you analyze this big data to be able to inform your pricing. What price will I charge? So the big data, for example, I'm getting feedback from my customers. All right. You're getting feedback from our customers. So use of data to set or adjust product prices based on costs, customer demand, competitor prices, and the market water conditions. So you're using a whole set of data that you're able to get from outside there and from inside the company. What is the cost of making this? All right. Use your cost estimations, yes. But most importantly, we also have data from other sources. Because of the word what is strategic. Yeah. So customer demand, we have that demand. Competitor prices, market conditions. It helps businesses find the best price that maximizes profitability, competitiveness, and the customer OTR, customer value. Examples, supermarkets analyzing sales data to adjust prices of fast-moving OTR items. Look at forecasting analytics. Yeah. So under forecasting analytics, you can only forecast after having seen the side mirror of your vehicle. Side mirror. You look at your side mirror, look at what is behind there. For you to swerve and be able to move very well on the road. So for forecasting analytics, you're using historical data, trends, and statistical models to predict future OTR outcomes. When you predict future outcomes, then you are thinking about long-termism. So many people, they only think not far away, they only think in this case here, quite close, their noses there. Yeah. But you see, for long-termism, what in this case here, strategic management accounting is all about, we need to know how the future will look like. So under forecasting analytics, we're using historical data, our trends from out there, and the statistical models to predict future outcomes such as sales, cost, or cash flows. It supports strategic planning, budgeting, and resource allocation. Example, airline predicting passenger demand to plan ticket prices and flight what year? Flight schedules. Yeah. So when we talk about, ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, look at this. Forecasting analytics and the business data analytics. We are looking at our brief history to be able to predict the future. Look at the trends. Look at the market. Look at the competitors to be able to predict the future outcomes. Why are we doing that? It's because of strategic management accounting. It's because we would want to be there in the future. In the future. All right. We go to August 2024, question number 4. One of the roles of management accounting is to provide information that is useful for managers of an organization or various departments in decision making. We said management accounting is all about provision of information that will be used for planning, business control, and of course, decision making. Those are the 3 main. Yeah. In line with this statement, explain 3 types of accounting information a management accountant could communicate to a human resource manager. So now you have to think like a management accountant. In this organization, you have a big position, management accounting, and then now you're looking at the HR. So this HR, of course, I'm the one who is keeping all the information as much as they know. I'm the one who has all the information, including any salary increments. I'm the one who knows. So then I'll be able to give this person here labor cost information, details on wages, salaries, any overtime and benefits, which will help HR in salary negotiations, budgeting and staff cost what year control. I'm the one who is doing performance evaluations of these people. So I will be able to give labor productivity reports, data on output per employee, absenteeism and efficiency, assist HR in performance appraisal and training, need analysis, budget and forecast information. I'm the one who knows that this ninja is very, very active, is very aggressive. We need to increase their salaries in the future. Give this person the budget here. Even budgets of our business, like if it's RCM, how many students in this case here do we expect to have in 2030? Then the HR will be able to look at what year, resourcing, getting employees. Yeah. So budgeting and forecasting information, estimates of future staffing costs, recruitment, training, promotions, guides HR in workforce planning and resource allocation, employee benefits and the incentivization costs, costs of medical cover, pensions, bonuses, and allowances. Ladies and gentlemen, remember as a management accountant, I'm the center of this wheel, the center of the wheel. So I'm able to liaise with all these other managers. For HR, basically I'm looking at the HR costs, the salaries. I'm looking at the incentives. Yeah, I'm looking at productivity of the workers, those productivity reports. All right. If I'm able to remember that, then I will be good to go. I will be good to go. I will be good to go. So up to there, ladies and gentlemen, especially the online guys, of course, physical. With this gentleman here, I can see really is really following. How about the online guys? Are they able? Yeah, you can see Gadoni use data to determine the best price. Thank you so much for products or services in order to maximize profit and remain compare. Use data to determine the price. You see now that is analytical pricing. Yeah, 𝗏𝗏 tells me, wow, this is really great. Pricing analytics, taking account of cost of production and competitor in your pricing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great. 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 Now, with your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I will be able to continue. So we go to April 2024, question number 3. Question number 3. Management accounting is an invaluable tool, an organization at both the operations level, the day-to-day level, and at the strategic management level. Discuss 3 reasons to support the claim. Why is management accounting important at the operations level when you are doing controlling? And then, of course, for strategic management level, when you're thinking about long-termism, future. So management accounting at the operational level focus is day-to-day activities, short-term efficiency and control. So then in this case here, according to this operations level, cost control, it provides detailed cost reports like materials, labor, overheads to monitor daily expenses. It will be able to help us do budgeting and variance what year, Anna? Because every other day, yeah, we need a budget. We compare the budget with the actual to get variances to operations. Compares actual versus budgeted cost to identify deviations quickly. Yeah, every other day, if it's operations, I'll be thinking about performance appraisal, performance monitoring of our employees and our productivity. Very, very important. Short-term decision making, every other day decisions. Supplies information for routine decisions like make or buy, pricing for special orders, or scheduling production. How about management accounting now at the strategic level, topmost level? Focus here is long-term goals and the competitiveness, and of course, growth or sustainability. So at this level, management accounting will be able to guide our capital investments. It will be able to provide information for me to analyze my markets, do competitor analysis to support sustainability and risk management decisions. It aligns resources with corporate what-year strategy. Don't worry about balance scorecard. We'll be able to come to that later. But what you're supposed to know, ladies and gentlemen, management accounting at the strategic level, we are thinking about long-termism. Long-termism. And long-termism, we are thinking about for us to be there in the future, we need assets which will stay with us for more than 1 year. Long-term assets. So we need in this case here to do what we call capital budgeting appraisals. We need to do net present value IRR and get to a device. We have to do competitor analysis. We have to do risk analysis. We must be able to provide information which is qualitative in nature. We must always think about corporate strategy in terms of our resourcing, in terms of our resourcing like that, in terms of our resourcing. Note, operational level is daily efficiency and control. So in this case here, if it's a hotel, this is where you look at misuse of your ingredients. People should not be able to steal. But strategic level is long-term direction and sustainability survival in the long term. April 2025, they joked with us, ladies and gentlemen, because of the costing element. They asked us to distinguish between sunk costs and what year? Opportunity costs. From the word sunk cost. Sunk costs, of course, are those costs which have already been incurred. So if they have already been incurred, it means that in the future, they're irrelevant in terms of decision making. So sunk costs, ladies and gentlemen, sunk costs, these are past costs that have already been incurred and cannot be recovered, regardless of the decision taken now or in the future. Just for example, if you want to build your house, all right, you'll call in an architect. This architect will ask you for his fees. You pay him 100,000. Once you pay him 100,000, then you start constructing. Then you get officers from City Hall telling you demolish this thing here. It is seated on a wrong place. You can't go back to the architect because architect fees now is a sunk cost. It's a cost incurred in the past which cannot be recovered. They are irrelevant for decision making because they do not change between alternatives. Examples include money is spent on research already completed, deposits paid that are non-refundable, book value of existing assets. I know that one will be able to give your own examples very, very well. How about opportunity cost? So for example, by me being around here, I'm losing some money outside there. Perhaps there would be a deal which I would be engaged in. And I would have gotten, in this case here, 1 million shillings. So the 1 million shilling is my opportunity cost for teaching you advanced management accounting today. I'm making a very, very big sacrifice. There's a benefit I'm foregoing for being here. So opportunity cost, these are the benefits foregone when choosing one alternative over another. They represent the value of the next best alternative that is sacrificed. Opportunity costs are relevant in decision making because they differ depending on the option selected. Example includes income foregone by using a building for storage instead of renting it out. You say, I have this great rental house, but I would want to just convert it to become a store. So if the tenants there were giving you 15,000 per month, then you are missing out on the 15,000. So 15,000 becomes opportunity cost. Salary foregone when choosing to study full-time. There are those students who decide to come and study full-time with us. They forego a salary. So that's the opportunity cost. Returns lost by investing in project A instead of investing in project B, like that. So again, I like taking feedback, and I always like encouraging my students to master theories. All the students who pass one term, they are very good in theories. Because like in management accounting, like last semester, I can tell you, especially advanced management accounting that I taught. Yeah. If you get even one student who failed, they'll tell you the mistake was not Mwalimu's. It is those students who maybe never got enough time or something. I emphasize on theory, and I don't skip anything in the syllabus. I don't skip anything in the syllabus. So feedback, are we still really together? Please mention their wife or yes. Are we still really together? Are we still really together? Mention their wife or yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Then we go, ladies and gentlemen, to cost terms and the concepts. So these cost terms and the concepts. So this is something I would want you to go and read. It's not in your syllabus. But at times you've seen where they are asking us to differentiate between, in this case here, sunk cost and whatever. So I want you to spend time and look at these cost definitions, cost classifications, what are direct costs, what are fixed costs. Fortunately, I give you very good notes here. Yeah, how you classify your costs according to time, historical versus futuristic, by behavior, by function. Very important. That one I would expect you guys to go and read them. Everything there is what you did in your management accounting. So then we have advanced management accounting, topic number 2. Topic number 2, we have what we call cost estimation and interpretations, where they want me to teach you how to do regression analysis. Not the simple one that you did. This will be a little bit complicated, a little bit complex. So it'll be very important for you to really attend now my next class. Today having been our very introductory class, ladies and gentlemen, I would want us to stop there. It is my hope that you've been able to pick lots of things, and it's my hope that you're going to make a choice to join RCM's classes. We are the #1 college in East Africa, the one-term college, Otherwise, thank you very much. If you have got any inquiries, please direct them to 0793 555 000. 0793 555 000. My name is Dr. Joshua Aura, the CPA Chief Ninja. They call me CPA Chief Ninja. Great. All right. So I can see somebody saying here that they have paid or something. Yeah, please, you can forward that message to me. I'll be able to assist you. I can't blame my team. There is really big inquiries. Lots of inquiries are happening there as we speak. So please direct those inquiries, some of those inquiries to myself. Yeah, and my number, you know my number, 0721 620 183. 0721 620 183. When is the next class? Remember, we have a class tomorrow. We have 3 classes in a week. We have Wednesday, 6 p.m., Saturday, 6 p.m., Sunday, 6 p.m. Now, if you are a physical student, the Sunday 6 p.m. class, you will attend from home, or you can as well come here. But I would prefer the Sunday one, you attend from home. I'll be able to send the link. Musyoka Stanley, I remember you very well. This one is a student that I stayed with very well here at RCM. Now he's a CPK. Good to see you. Morning classes, they happen on, can I remember? There are 5 a.m. We have morning classes, which happen at 5 a.m., I'll be able to send you the timetable. I'll be able to send you the timetable. It's important. Otherwise, thank you very much. Be blessed. I've enjoyed your company this evening. Bye-bye and bye-bye. You've received the money. Great. Great. Thank you. Bye, Gadoni. Gadoni, next time I must ensure you get a present. I promise, Gadoni. Bye.